I thought it was time for another story time video, especially seeing as today I've written off. I will use, so I'm not making any efforts to try and be resilient or anything. And I guess because I know that I'm going to be able to run away from all of my scary emotions later when I eventually do use. Now I guess seems like a really good time to talk about traumatic shit. Trigger warning, I guess, for a lot of people. This is the origin story of the toddler that I will refer to from time to time. The toddler is when my suicidal urges and everything first started. And I guess because I didn't have I guess, rewind like a little bit. So, and this is the story that I was telling the other therapist last Wednesday. That really triggered me. That really upset me. So yeah, look, I don't know. Anyway, let's just tell the story. We'll get to it. Okay. So anyway, trigger warning. It will talk about suicide and things like that. So if you're feeling vulnerable, please switch this off and come back another time if you want, or it's not really important. I guess it just helps if people want to understand me better and why that seems to be the option or the solution that my brain jumps to. So it was around sometime, I'm guessing I was like 3 or 4, because I could walk, but I was still needing a nappy before bed. So I remember it was around that time. I remember it was time when Mum would change our nappies, give us new nappies to go to bed with. And I remember at the time, Erica was having her nappy changed, and so I was just, I don't know, jumping and running around the room, probably being very annoying and far too wound up for what a toddler should be at what I'm guessing was maybe after 8 o'clock at night or something like that. And I guess broader context as well. I've spoken about this event so many times. I am able to sort of step back and look at the event and understand the circumstances around it. I'm not saying this as a way to put shit on my mum, because it will sound like that. And my mum carries a lot of guilt because she knows that this is where a lot of my mental health problems have come from. And she carries that. So I don't, and I don't tell this story wanting people to judge or hate my mum. At the time, my mother would have been 26, 27, 28 with, 2 kids under 5 in a foreign country. And the time when this event in particular happened, as I mentioned, my father was in the Army Reserves. So every now and again, and I wouldn't really understand why because I didn't have a concept of it, but Dad would go away for periods of a time. And now I know that he'd be going away for 2 weeks at a time to do army drills in the bush, which is why he'd always come back with this big mustache, and it would take me a few minutes to recognize that he was my dad until I saw him and heard him and things. Anyway, so we've established I was always a daddy's girl. Always loved my dad. And so Mum's changing Erica's nappy, putting a new one on her, and I'm running around being a kid, and I'm getting in trouble. I can't remember what I'm getting in trouble for. I think it's just because I'm jumping around and being noisy because I'm excited and happy about something. And I was, Mum didn't hit me or anything, but she has, I don't know, anyone with Asian parents will know, there is a tone, there is a way that they speak and look at you, and you immediately just know, you've got to fall back in line or some shit's gonna go down. Anyway, so I was getting in trouble and I started crying. And I said, I want my dad. I want Daddy to come home. I wish Daddy was here. Because even I think when Mum used to get upset with me about things and I used to cry and go to Dad would be able to explain to me, well, you know, if you're a little bit quiet, Mummy wouldn't be so angry or whatever. I don't know. I wanted Dad. And my mother, in her desperation to reason and control me, said, Daddy's not coming home. Daddy went away because you've been such a naughty girl, not doing what you're told. And he's not coming back until I call him and tell him that you're doing what you're until you're being a good girl. Daddy's not going to come home unless you're a good girl. You've got to start being a good girl. And I was like, fuck that shit. I want my nana. I wanted Dad's mum. I wanted the woman that I spent my first birthday with. And I now know that was a really, really big point of contention because, tab out, when my sister was born and I came home with my grandmother, anytime I was upset, you know, I could walk by this point. Anytime I was like distressed, I would be crying with my arms open and be walking towards my nana. And my grandmother, so my mum's mother-in-law, like they would both, you know, obviously you see a crying 1-year-old, everyone looks to see what's going on, and then to see the child walking with open arms, walking towards the grandmother over the mum, the primary caregiver. My mum said that she felt ashamed. And what made it worse was the way that my grandmother, who fucking spoilt me as a grandchild, has always spoilt me because I'm a grandchild, but as an adult I can actually see she's got narcissistic personality disorder. She's an absolute fucking bitch. But not to me, so I never realised any of it. She gave my mum this look like she's a better parent, or she's, you know, like she looked down at my mum for the fact that I was turning to my grandmother for comfort. So I think the fact that I said I want my nana kind of triggered mum and caused her to say, why? And I remember she said it like that. She laughed. She said, why would Nana want you? Your daddy has left because you're not being a good girl. Why should someone else have to look after you when you're not going to behave yourself? No one else should have to put up with you. The only person who is able to look after you is me, because I'm your mum, because I have to, because it's my job. And no one else is going to want to be around you unless you start being a good girl and being someone that people want to be around. And I just felt trapped. I felt like I had nowhere to go. And then this feeling came into my chest. And because I'm little, I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't even know what death was. So all I knew how to say was, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. Because I was crying. I wasn't wailing, I was actually quiet crying. It's the same heartbreak I feel now. Mum's like, why are you crying? And I said, I don't want to be here anymore. And we were in, like, the kids' room. So Mum's like, well, you're going to bed. And I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. I don't want to be here anymore. And she's like, what do you, like, in this house? And I'm like, no, I don't want to be here anymore. She's like, in Sydney? Do you want to go to Maria? No, I don't want to be here anymore. Okay, do you want to go to Japan? Do you mean, what do you mean, man? And I was like, I don't know, I don't want to be here. And eventually, she realized what I meant. She did. She cottoned on. And she said, May, if you're not here anymore, you'll never get to see Daddy again. But I didn't care, because it sounded like I wasn't going to see Daddy again anyway. She said, if you're not here anymore, you'll never get to see Nana again. Why would that matter if Nana doesn't want to be around me? That doesn't make sense. And Mum kept listing all these things and none of it mattered. Until she said, May, if you're not here anymore, you'll never be able to have a Happy Meal again. Okay. So sometimes I make the joke that a Happy Meal saved my life. A Happy Meal was the only thing that little me thought was worth fucking living for. And it's why whenever I find myself in extended periods of solitude, I jump to the conclusion that no one cares. Because I know how shit this feels. So I've got a radar on all the time. Not looking for people, but so I can pick up that if anyone else is feeling pretty shit, I can help them. They don't have to feel that way. And I'm always that person for someone else. I don't know how to be that person for me, and no one is ever that person for me. And not in the right way. And I know that I make it really, really fucking difficult, but I guess this is where I'm just trying to explain so much of it. Apparently, a theory, I guess, around why I struggle to communicate my needs is because I shouldn't fucking have to. That theoretically, when there is a healthy bond between an infant and its primary caregiver, the primary caregiver is actually able to intuitively tell what the infant needs based on the type of sounds it's making or the type of cries. I've been crying out for help my whole life and no one's listened. And because of that origin story, which has just framed the way that I see the world, I honestly believe that if I was worthy of love,
the people would be asking to be around me. That if I was a nice person to spend time with, people would be wanting to do that. But no one does. No one wants to spend time with me. Or there is always an excuse. And that's fine. Because now I'm a 30-year-old adult and I've got to learn to fucking manage this shit somehow. And hopefully one day I will, but today is not that day. It's going to be a really, really long journey. Like, I have only been able to forgive my mum in the last 2 years for planting that seed in me, and I still get angry and resent her every time I feel that feeling in my chest or I hear a little girl's voice in my head say, I don't want to be here anymore. Anytime I'm suicidal, it's that voice. It's me wanting to escape. Anyway. I'm triggered as fuck. I'll be okay. Just have a cigarette and go to bed, but that's a part of me I'm really struggling with. It's the root of a lot of my issues, and I don't know how to grow past it. Thanks for watching.